Okay, hello everyone. My name is Fayiz Juem, and I'm going to present to you my paper, which is the case study that talks about the environmental sustainability assessment of a wastewater treatment processes in the United Arab Emirates. The authors of the paper are me, Fayiz Juem, my colleague Sarah Senno, and Dr. Maroof from the American University of Sharjah. Now, this will be the outline of the presentation. We'll have a brief introduction. Then we will go through the methodology, data, and analysis. Then finally, we'll conclude the work done. Now, wastewater treatment plants are very common and act as a critical infrastructure in any country. One of the core roles of a wastewater treatment systems is to recycle and treat the water and reduce the environmental consequences. Now, however, the treatment plants may have environmental consequences, so it is important to understand its impact. Now, our objective is to conduct an environmental sustainability assessment of a new wastewater treatment plant that is constructed recently in the United Arab Emirates. Now, wastewater treatment plant is used to purify untreated water from a variety of sources, such as households, workplaces, labs, and sewer systems. So the water may be safely disposed or reused. Now, those are the main parameters to indicate the water quality, such as BOD, biological oxygen demand, COD, and so on. Now, to minimize those parameters, we should treat the wastewater that may impact our environment negatively in many different ways, such as ozone depletion, global warming, eutrophication, and so on. Now, moving on. Why do we do EIA, an environmental impact assessment? It's basically to promote a safe environment and a sustainable development by measuring the environmental impact that may be caused by the projects. Now, the methodology followed is first, the goal and the scope of the work were identified. Second, data were collected and analyzed. Third, the impact assessment were done using the OpenLCA software. It's basically a software to do a life cycle assessment, environmental impact assessment, and many other assessments that can help us to analyze the data. Now, after the data were collected from an existing wastewater treatment plant, it was integrated in the advanced assessment software called OpenLCA, and a specific database and impact method were used as well, as shown here. Now, in our case study, the environmental impact assessment will focus mainly on the operation and the maintenance of the treatment plant, in addition to the production of the frequently used and changed materials. And the scope of the work includes the power used, the chemicals addition, the main materials, and the transportation of the wastewater. For our case study, the wastewater treatment plant is designed to treat 100 meter cube per day, and we have 6 different processes to treat the wastewater, which are first, the lifting station where the water is stored, second, automatic screening where the large particles are removed, third, bioreactor zone where the main treatment takes place, and after that, the water will go through the settling phase. Then the water is filtered when it goes through different layers of sand medium. And then finally, the final process is the disinfection with the sodium hypochlorite. Also, we have gathered some data from different sources to do the needed calculation and analysis. For the transportation, this is the truck capacity that we have used, the quantities, the distances, and the fuel consumption data. And in terms of the service life, it was done for the PVC pipes, anthracite, and the activated carbon. Now here are some of the inputs that we have used in our calculations. The first table shows the data collected from the contractor's company of the wastewater treatment plant, such as the lifting station pump, automatic screening, and bioreactor airflow values and capacities. And the second table here shows the activated carbon production and regeneration input. And also there are many other inputs that are discussed more in the report. Now, after adding the inventory and the inputs that we have just talked about and linking them all together, to the corresponding impacts, a software run was conducted, and the results for the functional unit of 1 meter cubic of wastewater were analyzed as shown in the table here. And here are our environmental categories that were impacted. And to get a more realistic view of the wastewater process's impact, the impact for 1 year of operation of the plant was calculated as well and added to the result. In that way, we can understand the long-term impact that this plant can do. Looking at the results, you can analyze which contributors have more significance on the environmental impact. In this way, it will help in understanding and managing the wastewater treatment plant processes. For example, if you look here in the impact on the global warming, and by looking at the green bar on the right side, okay, it represents the transportation process. And you can analyze that the main contributor to the global warming is the transportation, since it has the highest value. And since the results show that the main contributor is the transportation, this suggests that different alternatives need to be considered to transport the wastewater, such as building a connecting sewer system that may be a good alternative in the long run. So this is just an example of how those results can be analyzed for different impact categories. Finally, to conclude, this paper analyzes the environmental impact of the processes used in the operation of the wastewater treatment plant that is newly built in the UAE. An impact assessment was conducted to set a baseline for future projects to be able to compare and choose the best option that has the least impact on the environment. Results showed that the main contributor to the environmental impact is the transportation of the wastewater to the treatment plant using trucks. It is also found that the bioreactor is one of the main contributors as well to the global warming effect of the wastewater treatment plant. And in addition, the production of the materials used in the process were found to have also a significant impact on the environment as well, which opens the research for different alternatives and different processes to be studied for comparisons and improvements. In this presentation, I tried to show examples of the input data that we have used and the results that we have analyzed. But in order to understand the full assessment, you can refer to the case study report, where there are the big amount of data that you can look at, and you can also understand the detailed discussions. So this is all for my presentation. These are the references that we have used to develop our case study. And thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.